Knees and toes.
The shoulders have to do with anything?
Because of what you did to my bold prediction. Yes, I'm taking this too far, but I don't care. We're
The
going.
noise is great for those who are audio only.
What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is Monday, March 9th, 2026. As always, I am PK, alongside my co-host Phil, episode 420. If you don't know the joke, you're not old enough to be listening to this episode. Go find your parents. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective. Phil just got the joke. He's laughing. And on X and Blue Sky.
Just go find your parents. Just wherever they are, just go find. Just in general. Just make sure you know where your parents are.
And on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. I've been waiting episodes to do that. Don't forget to follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com. No article this week for Phil, but you can go read prior articles, especially after his doubleheader last weekend. Monster episode. And look for time breakdowns in the description of the show. This week, like I mentioned, Phil is off. I was off last week. Phil's off this week. We have a interview Wednesday, and I can actually announce who the interview is with because it's already been recorded. I recorded about 2 hours before we recorded this episode on Sunday. Jamie Shuchuk from Colorado, their former player and now actual color commentator. Interviewed him. It's about 38 minutes long. That'll be out on Wednesday. Power rankings and week 16 pick'em will be out on Friday, because Bandits play on Friday, so we'll be recording on Wednesday and putting that out on Thursday. Remember, Thursday episode this week because it's Bandits' final Friday game of the regular season, at least. Maybe they'll have a Friday playoff game if they make the playoffs. Still time to tell. Pick them, though. X, you can go vote on X, I should say, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then on Instagram on our story on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then our final this week. If you're listening to this on Monday, give producer Pat a happy birthday. Turns the big 3-4, joins Phil. I'll be the baby of this episode for 2 more months. I'll be straight 33. I'll be the young, spry, and joyful one until I reach the age of 34. It's so weird. We're all like nearly 6 months apart, all three of us. It's kind of weird. On today's episode, we're going over the Sabres' last few games. I'm going to have to go rewatch the game that's currently being played right now because it sounds like it's absolutely bananas, their game versus Tampa Bay right now. Multiple fights, an assault on Dahlin. They're winning 3-1 as we're recording. But we'll go over their last few games and the trade deadline that was very busy for a change. Thank you, Yarmo. Poo-poo you, Kevin Adams. Where the league stands right now with our predictions. We're going to go over what our predictions were the offseason, or I should say the preseason, and what they look like now. And then week 15 recap. So a busy but not busy episode. The day, as you're listening to this now, the trade deadline for the NL either passed or didn't pass, and it's been absolutely silent ever since. Let's hope that's going to be busy. Latest rumors I heard were there's a lot of big names being mentioned, but a lot of teams are treating first-round picks as gold. So there's probably not going to be any big-time blockbusters, but there might be a few minor deals. And that's kind of what we're expecting, especially based on where the standings are right now. But we'll start with the Buffalo Sabres. Phil, we said this a couple weeks ago, actually a couple months ago at this point. They will never lose again. Thursday, we went out to the bar for the first time ever for a good Sabres team, and they won 5-1 versus Pittsburgh. McLeod, I got to listen to Phil say that in person. Norris, Tuck, Power, and Samuelson were the goal scorers. UPL shut it down and sent Pittsburgh home crying. Malkin even tried to chop off Dahlin's head, and it didn't work. Nashville on Saturday, they also won 3-2. Lions shut that one down, and they're currently up 3-1 over Tampa Bay right now. They're starting some shenanigans because Buffalo is just the superior team in the Atlantic right now. Is not something I would have ever thought I'd be saying, but they're sitting right now before that game's over. We might be able to talk about, I don't think we'll go through the whole third period, but they're sitting 38-19-6 for 82 points, tied for the lead versus Tampa Bay. And if they pull that off, they'll be 2 points ahead of Tampa Bay, even though they'll have games in hand that Tampa Bay that is. But Phil, last 2 games, I guess, what are your thoughts on this Sabres team? And are you officially on that this team is making the playoffs and can make a big run in it?
Yeah, I mean, I think this will be the prime example of if playoff caliber players actually matter to a team or not, because this team has very, very limited playoff experience, and they're clearly going to make playoffs. I don't think that is, I mean, it's probably slightly still in jeopardy because they're the Sabres, and who the heck knows. But with the way they're playing, I don't see it being in jeopardy. I'm full in on them making playoffs. And I think them making noise in playoffs is going to come down to how they handle the playoff pressure, the playoff atmosphere. Like, most of them don't know what it's like. And again, I think it'll be a great proving point whether that matters or not. Either it'll be too big for them and they won't be ready for the moment, or they'll seize the moment and take over. But the fact that they're proving they can keep up with the Tampa Bay team, this is now twice in recent times, twice since the Olympic break that they've, again, there's still a lot of game left in that game that Tampa could come back. We'll see. But if they do beat them this time, that, like you said, that's the top team in the Atlantic. It's one of the top teams in the entire league, and you're hanging with them. And if you beat them twice since the Olympic break, I think it just shows where this team actually is. And I do think, as much as it's really difficult to admit and say, I do think they are one of the, I want to say it with all authority that I can. I'm not saying I don't want to, but I do think they are a top 5 team in the league, which is, I don't know. Again, like you said, earlier in the season, we were talking about getting rid of this team from the podcast, or how can we limit it after their 10-game losing streak or whatever they did, and they looked horrendous. Like, here we go again. The fact that this is the exact same team for the most part is insane, and they just scored again to make it 4-1, so they're well on their way to winning that game. It's insane, honestly. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, this team's had no expectations for the longest time because they just keep missing playoffs. So you can't even say, like, oh, maybe the expectations weren't there, so that's when they can thrive. I don't know. That maybe Yarmo coming in and saying none of your jobs are safe really somehow clicked to them that this is it for some reason, or whatever the magic sauce is that they put together with this team. I don't really care what it is. I'm just happy they're fun. I'm happy they're good. And I'm very excited to see what they can do in playoffs. And I feel like it's too far away. Like, I want it now. I don't really want to go through these games anymore. I'm ready for the pain of playoffs.
Yeah, the one word you just used there, in fun, I think we've been asking them at least all 5 years on this show and years prior, before we even had a show. Even if you suck, just be fun to watch.
Right.
They're both. Like, this is a very fun, high flying.
They don't suck.
Yeah, it's so, like, I enjoy watching these games now. It's not even like the Islanders of past years where, right, yeah, you would win a ton of games, but it's such boring hockey winning 2-1. This team reminds me of the 05, 06, 06, 07 type of team. And it's kind of strange that it's coached. It's coached by the same head coach that coached those teams as well. They're good defensively, they're getting good goaltending, and their offense is very fun. Now, we can transition here into the trade deadline and the pieces they brought in. I still wish they would have been able to find a deal to bring in a Robert Thomas, but, I mean, there were no big-time deals done at the deadline, so can we really blame the Sabres for not getting that done? But they did make 3 deals, and that's 3 more than they've made in how long? I mean, Kevin Adams, palm trees, yeah. But, I mean, the first one, they sent a 2026 fourth and a 2027 second, Jacob Bryson and Isaac Rosine, to the Jets for Luke Shane and Logan Stanley. 2 veteran pieces on the back end that are not going to come in here and play top 4 minutes. They're going to relieve. Their more depth is in, we've seen in the past with the Buffalo Sabres defense when they get hurt and they're down to their 6th, 7th, 8th defenseman because of Jay McKee with the infection and so on. Teppo's not playing, and go down the line, Dmitry Kalinin, and so on and so forth. You can never have too much depth on the blue line, and both of those guys are bigger players. If they're coming in and they're being asked to play 17, 18, 19 minutes, you're in trouble. But can they handle the minutes to take off a Michael Kesselring, a Zach Mesa? They already replaced a Jacob Bryson because he goes out the door. I think they're upgrades in what they had in-house, and that's the biggest thing. All they did was ship out picks, and that's what we've been asking them to do. I think at the moment, if I'm counting correctly, I think they have 2 or 3 picks in the upcoming draft. You and I love that. because we hate the draft picks. They mean nothing. But all the picks that they were sending out are depth picks. This organization is flush with prospects, and they didn't really have to move any prospects besides Rosine, and there wasn't really a spot for him. And every time he got called up, he wasn't really putting in much production. He was thriving in Rochester, but he wasn't going to really make a noise with all the pieces ahead of him in Buffalo. Then, and I guess one of the other benefits is both of those guys are UFAs at the end of the year, so you're not tied down to either of them. You're looking here at the next move. They send out a 2026 third and a 2026 sixth, which is Chicago's, to the Rangers for Sam Carrick. Another bottom four or bottom six centerman that's very good at faceoffs. He's coming in and already the best, and we saw it in the Nashville game. He wins 2 big-time faceoffs. He's a bottom six center winger, 34 years old, and he's making $1 million with 1 year left. I'll take that. Like, I'm good with that. And he's a tough guy down there as well, and he has playoff experience. Then right at the deadline, like literally at the deadline, they'd send out the 2026 7th-round pick for Tanner Pearson from Winnipeg. I wonder why they just didn't include him in the other deal. But it shows that Jarmo didn't want to disrupt the core of this team by bringing in somebody that might be able to play a middle six role. It felt like if he was going to make a big move, it was for Robert Thomas to bring in and be that number one centerman with Tage Thompson and Alex Tuch. If he was going to make a big move, it was getting Parayko here so he could limit some of the big minutes there and be a lockdown defender. That felt like the only big moves that he was willing to make, and otherwise it was kind of just filling in with depth. I love this trade deadline. He didn't move any big-time prospects. Off-season is going to be and I know that's way down the line. I'm not going to bring that up like big talking points, but I think the off-season is going to be where he makes his mark on this team, because Alex Tuch still doesn't have a deal. It sounds like talks are progressing, but that might just be GM talk. I'm going to be very interested to see what moves he makes with how filled the cabinet is right now, regardless of what they do in the playoffs. If they go out and make a big run, if they're out in the first round, I don't think that's going to factor into what Jarmo's plans are this offseason, because besides these 3 deals, he hasn't really made a move on this team. But to me, it shows, and I think this is where Kevyn Adams failed. Like, yeah, this whole thing, and we can't really say this is his team anymore, but the majority of his team went on this run here. The reason that I don't think it was very successful was for a deadline like this, where the team is in it. They're a legit Stanley Cup contender. You have to go out and get pieces, not just to sure it up, but tell the room, I believe in you. Here's some pieces to back you up.
Right.
And you listen to the room. I mean, I think Tage said it. I think Alex Tuch said it. I know Darlene said it because I remember him saying that, hey, the GM believes in us. We're putting in the work, and he went out and got pieces to help us achieve that goal. That's what Kevyn Adams was too afraid to do and too gung-shy to do it. I think this is a big stepping stone to give even more confidence to their room, and they're up 4-1 on Tampa, and I think that's part of the reason that they are right now is they're up 4-2, 4-3. Oh God, I didn't even know the updates. Phil, thanks a lot. But this whole time I was talking, apparently I should shut up and let you talk.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you go to the Thomas deal, like all the rumors of what was being offered and what was out there and all that kind of stuff.
Gergensen too.
He wanted revenge. I'm happy that he balked at that deal. Like, I mean, Thomas would have been a big get, but it sounded a lot like he wanted Byram or Power, and I'm happy that he wasn't willing to go that far. It sounded like they went as far as they could, and he wasn't willing to bend just to make a big deal. Like, your first trade deadline, he could have been like, all right, you know what? This is going to cement the team. This is going to be great for the team. I'm going to go out and I'm going to force a really big deal. And he didn't do that. And even with Parayko, I know like he didn't really, I mean, he did the deal and then they just said no. But even him like going out and trying to get someone who's a little older, could be a top 4 defender. And people are kind of saying like, well, why weren't they able to bring someone else in? And even especially on the defense, like, to me, and maybe you disagree, maybe the league disagrees, I don't think they do, but the Sabres top 4 is legit right now. With it wasn't last year.
They're one of the best in the league.
Yes. And so when people are like, well, why can't you get a top 4 defender? A, they're hard to get. B, it's not easy to just like they already have top 4 defenders. They don't really, and yes, you could always use more. Obviously, it pushes everybody down, shifts things around. I know what they were trying to do with Periaco, but like it's hard to bring in
Pareko. I
someone
want to correct because I know you're gonna get crap. Pareko,
Pareko, sorry,
McLeod,
McLeod and Periaco.
Skigliano. We're
That's
the
the best
podcast
one.
that doesn't pronounce people's names right, and I don't care. I love that title.
I'll say sometimes it's on purpose. But like finding a deal to improve your team when your team's already as good as they are, and I mean they're proving it night in and night out that they're this good. It's not easy just to find talent to slot in. And like you mentioned, it's also shaking up the team. Like just because you bring in a top talent doesn't mean they're going to gel with the team, doesn't mean they're going to be able to adapt to the team. I saw some people saying that like, okay, if Thomas came in, that's great. But then what does it do? Push Tage back to the wing? Is he actually going to be good on the wing? He's doing really well as a center. Does that screw him up? Does it screw up the balance of the team? So he did his best. I think even the fact that they were in,
Yes.
conversations for players of this caliber shows what he was willing to do. And some of the offers out there for Thomas seemed like they were very high. Like he was willing to like, here's pretty much everything I can give you. Take it for this caliber of a player. So that was nice to see. And then on the flip side, he didn't overpay as much as I at first wanted a player like this, like Kadri. He had a lot of term left on his contract, and he's 32. And I'm happy he didn't overpay for a guy like that because in the future, I don't think someone like that's going to really help build this team up. Like, yes, it'd be good for this run, but he had a lot of time left on his contract, and he's going to get only older. I think that would have hampered the team in the future a lot quicker than it would have just helped for this one run. So I'm happy that he didn't overpay for anything. And with the depth he did bring in, like you already mentioned, they're real nasty. They're real physical. You needed fighters on this team as much as, I mean, we said there's already 2 fights in today's game and they aren't even the,
I think even less calling them fighters, but more guys that are willing to do
hit.
that.
Yes. And I feel like for playoffs, you're going to need those players on your team backing your team up. And the Sabres, as much as I love them, throughout the year, they really haven't had too much of those players or somebody that they can go be like, hey, you're the guy. You got to go hit someone. You got to go fight someone. We need that for this team. You got to protect us. And NHL playoff hockey is extremely physical. So you need these big guys who have the experience, who can go out there and be a physical presence because a smaller, faster team is going to just get beat up over and over and over, and that's going to wear out. But if you can do the same to another team, kind of helps balance things. And if there is any nasty hits or anything nasty happens because it's very physical playoff hockey, you have players on the team that can step up and do what they need to do to protect your team. And I think even just showing the players, hey, we have some players that can protect you guys, I feel like it just makes them feel a little bit more comfortable, like a Benson who's out there running around. Like when it comes to playoff hockey, I am quite worried for that man with the way he, not only the way he plays, but the way he likes to chatter. I'm sure he's going to cause some fights when he's out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm most interested to see is with how they play right now. I feel like this team can thrive in the playoffs, but I do think that they needed to be a bit bigger and big tougher. I don't know if I would want these guys like the Stanleys and the Shens and Carricks in the lineup every single night.
Right.
But having the ability where if you know, okay, things might pop off in this one, we need to be a bit tougher in this one. This is one that we need to win to move on type of game. You can slot them in to play a handful of minutes. And like you said, it gives the players on the ice a bit more height to them, if you want to say it that way, that says, you know, if I run around and do this kind of thing, I got guys on the back end that can protect me. So I do like the additions they made. I don't think he shook it up too much. The cabinets are still completely full for whatever he wants to do in the offseason. So I'm very excited to see how this team continues to grow in the system. And we're well past them, like saying, when does this come to an end? I know we were talking before we started recording. The only thing that I'm a little bit nervous about is the goaltending. And they've been playing unbelievable all season, so I really shouldn't be really too worried about it. But UPL has had spurts in the past where he has not looked good, even this year. But he's looked unbelievable now. Lyon has looked unbelievable. He went on that long winning streak, which, 11, 12, 13 games, something like that. So I do think that a lot of it comes into what the defense has been able to do in front of the goaltenders, which is limiting quality chances, and the goaltenders are there to bail them out when needed. But I really do think that this team is built for playoff hockey. And I think with the way they play, with the swagger they have, with the checking that they have, the guys that they brought in with playoff experience, I really think that, and their scoring ability, I think the only thing that's hampering them is the power play, but they're 3-6 right now. Phil, they apparently they tied it. It hasn't updated on my screen, but it must be 4-4. Watch YouTube. You can see Phil's facial expressions as we go. There's been multiple of them. Even me starting it off, and you didn't catch my 420 joke. But I do expect this team to make playoffs. I do expect them to make a deep run, and I will be interested to see how they handle series rather than just one game spurts, because when you're facing a team, a max of 7 games, how do you counteract what they're going to adjust to you? So I'm very interested to see with that. But we'll move on here.
Before we move on from that, just what were your thoughts? I know it came on kind of late, and it seemed like it was late in the deadline that they even threw it out there. But what were your thoughts on them possibly shopping Levi and trying to move him if they could for something good?
I think that's an off-season move. He currently has, Luukkonen's got 3 more years after this year. Lyon has 1 more year. And they brought in Colton Ellis, who, it was a different situation because you can't really waive him because he would have gotten claimed to get him down to Rochester, which I think that they wanted to do at some point. But Ellis jumped in front of Levi. Like, it's that simple. They could have had Levi in camp the whole time. He could have won one of the battles. The other issue, and I believe I heard this correctly, and next year Levi has to pass through waivers if they want to get him back down to Rochester. So I think that's another key factor here is to remember is right now they got 3 goaltenders plus Levi. Next year, Levi can't just mosey on down to Rochester like he's been able to do. He's going to have to pass through waivers, and there's 0 chance he's going to be able to do that. So next year, he either has to be on the big league club or they're going to have to shop him around. So I think this is him just going out. I don't think it was anything serious. I don't think that there was ever
just
any
feelers.
I think he put it out there to just go like, okay, if I do shop this guy, who's out there that might want to take a bite out of this apple? So I'm interested to see what transpires, but I unless he beats out Luukkonen, which I don't see him doing right now, and unless he beats out Alex Lyon or Colton Ellis, I think you have to go out and see what you can get for Devin Levi. It's not that I think he's going to be a bad goaltender. He might go out there and thrive somewhere else. This sounds like what I was saying to Luukkonen this offseason, but I do think that you need to strike while the iron's still hot right now, because what he's doing in Rochester, he's not playing as good as he did last year, but quality goaltenders typically don't pop off. What they were asking to do had never been done in the NHL. Like, There's a reason guys go down to Rochester in the AHL to practice their skills. They don't go right to the NHL. So what they were going to ask him to do was not going to work. So I still am very high on him. I still think he can be a franchise goaltender. I just don't know if the spot is for him right now in Buffalo unless he were to come into camp next year and just blow the doors off. I just don't know how you're going to do that with the current guys under contract right now and how well they've played this year.
Yeah, I do think it'll come down to him and UPL. And I know UPL is not making a ton of money for a goalie or just in general, but if they do need cap space because they want to keep Tuck or they want to bring somebody else in a trade,
right,
I could see them possibly trying to shop UPL just to get his $4.5 million out of there and then sign Levi for super cheap and keep Lyon, who's only making 1.5, and then just kind of go from there. But I do think it is going to come down to Levi versus UPL. I don't think we see both of them on the roster next year because, like you said, Levi can't go back down, so he's going to get claimed. He's either traded or he's going to be your goalie. So we'll see. But yeah, more of an offseason thing. I just wanted your thoughts because it popped up pretty late in the trade deadline that was something. I thought it was just interesting that he was the main part, I think, if I remember correctly, of the Reinhardt deal. Yes. He was a big aspect of it. So obviously a new GM, so he's not attached to that anymore. It wasn't his deal. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that all plays out, but well in the future.
Yep. Sabres, Tampa, 4-4 at the end of the second. So maybe I'll be able to catch the end of the third before this is done. We'll move on. Bandits were on a bye. They did not get very much help this weekend. We'll go over it in a bit, but we thought, since this is the last bye week, and we usually do this at some point, Let's go over how our bold predictions from this past offseason have looked this season, and are any of them on possible tracks. So we'll start with the bold predictions for the NLL. I'll go one, you go one, and so on and so forth. My first bold prediction was Jesse King will win MVP. He's having a good season. 27, 33, and 60, 15th in the league in points, 9th in goals, tied for 20th in assists. The issue is he's not even MVP of his old team because Keegan Ball is going absolutely bananas. Dobson's ahead of him. Dylan Ward's ahead of him. Like I mentioned, Keegan Ball is ahead of him. Jeff Teet's ahead of him. I think they're all well ahead of him. Again, he's not having a bad season. It's just there's so many other players that are just popping off that I have him. I feel like I would have him maybe in the top 15 of my MVP rankings. But, I mean, Dobson is the clear favorite. After him, maybe Dylan Ward. After him, maybe Keegan Ball, Jeff Teet. Like, there's just too many names ahead of him that I don't even think that he's going to be a finalist for the MVP. Because if they do it like they did in the past, where it's 2 per team, like Adam Levy tweeted out last year, the whole master list of the finalists, I think it's Keegan Ball, and I think it's Christian Del Bianco. I don't think he would get the nod to even be eligible to be getting votes for the MVP.
Yeah, my first one, apparently I picked the season to predict this.
You did.
3 goalies will finish below a 10 goals against average. Currently, there are 5, and they're all playing really, really well. Rose, in just 6 games, he's at a 9.98. Just got back in the lineup. We'll talk about that soon, but he only allowed 10, so he's flirting with that. He's got to get some big performances, and I don't know how many games we're going to give him to count, but Hill, 10.23, O'Rig having a good bounce back from the start of his season, 10.28, and Vince at 10.8. Yeah, like we've already talked a lot about this entire season. This was the year of the goaltender. For some reason, there are more than one goalies popping off, and Dobson is just demolishing the entire world right now. But yeah, so far, so good on that one.
Yeah, there'll be a theme in this episode of these kind of things. And it doesn't go my way. Not at all. Sorry, I'm just correcting one of yours because I forgot there was games today. My second one. This one is feeling better. And for those that have listened throughout the entire season, you know I've been tracking this. And I've been giving them a hard time. Philly will average under 10 goals a game. I feel like a lot of people gave me a hard time for this, but my rationale was there, and I'm feeling very good about this one. Currently, through 13 games, they play an 18-game schedule. They have 5 games left. They have scored 120 goals. If you do the math, that's 9.23 a game. I'm right. They need 180 to average 10 goals a game. They need 60 more in 5 games, which means they need to average 12 a game to get to 10. Yes, I understand that on Sunday they scored 12. They are on a 1-game heater of it. Last weekend where they had a doubleheader versus Georgia definitely helped. Buffalo game did not help whatsoever when they put up 13. But they, let me pull up their schedule right now. Sorry, I should have had this pulled up. I have it right now. They have Oshawa, Halifax, Toronto, Vegas, and Vancouver. Toronto and Vancouver, they're going to struggle to score against. Halifax, they're probably going to score against. It's Vegas and Oshawa. They need to hover around 11 to 12 right there to make me feel better. If they put up a 15 or 16 spot, I'm going to start feeling nervous again. But I think the point still remains, and how many forwards are even going to be on that team? They healthy scratched They healthy scratched Eric Fennell on Sunday. So I'm assuming that there's probably going to be a trade made with Eric Fennell coming down the line here. So that's another goal scorer out the door, but we'll see. I'm feeling pretty good about Philly being under 10 goals a game.
Yeah, I was going to mention the same thing. We'll see if Joey Rez is still on the team, Fennell's still on the team. Could blow up their offense even more than it already is. My second one was Calum Jones leading the league in caused turnovers, and he currently leads the league in caused turnovers, so that's looking pretty good. So far, he's got 28. Tchaikovsky in one last game has 21. Brad Cree in one last game has 21. So there are people within his range, but currently I would say it's a pretty decent buffer he's got going, and he's really good at lacrosse. So He just needs to keep doing what he's doing, and that one is also looking pretty good to start.
Yeah, my last one, it ain't gonna pan out, man. It's just not. Yeah, I'm looking at the stats right now. He's not even leading his own team. Oh, is there even going to be a single player that hits this mark? And I know I'm doing the math now. I should have had all these numbers ahead of time. Sorry.
You want me to go and you can do math?
Yeah, go ahead because this website's loading really slow. Go ahead. What's your last
one? Yeah, my last one was that Donville was going to finish with 100 points. Currently has 15, 47, and 62, and he's on pace for 101. So he is on pace. It's extremely close, but he's having the season I expected him to have with the revamped team around him, looking a little bit better. He got some more support. He's always been a good player, and I figured with the support he had, he'd be a much, much better player. And he's proven that, and I think he's doing a really good job, but 101 doesn't make me feel safe, but a couple big games, and he's looking pretty good. So he's on pace to handle the other bold prediction for me.
My last one currently was Ryan Smith will crack the 60 goal mark, and I wanted to check. Currently, the only player on pace for over 60 is Andrew Q, but they only have 5 games left. He's got 35 through 9 games. He missed a handful of games, so he's not going to crack it, but he's tied for the league lead in goals with 35 in 9 games. It's stupid. But Ryan Smith right now has 24 goals in 11 games. That's 2.1 goals, 2.18 goals a game. He needs to average 6 goals the next 6 games. I'm sorry, 7 games to reach 60. I don't think it's going to happen. I think I burned too bright on that one. I really liked Ryan Smith this year, and it just hasn't worked. Rochester has definitely struggled. That big losing streak did not help his case.
Yeah, I'll say Rochester hasn't worked as well as they should have either. I feel like they might be our new, not as serious, but our new New York Riptide, where we just keep pumping them up. This is the year for Rochester. This is the year for Rochester, and they continue to let us down. They should be an elite team, and they're not doing that great.
Yeah. But before we go over our next 2 bold prediction categories of what we did in the preseason, how it looks now, let's go over our sponsor of the episode, Tap That Tap Room at 363 Delaware Street in Tonawanda, New York. It's Buffalo's first women-owned self-pour bar featuring 30 consistently rotating taps. They offer a variety of beers, ciders, sour, seltzers, and malt beverages.
Tap That Tap Room is back to their regularly scheduled events, including Books and Brews on Wednesday. And I say this other one is regularly scheduled because they are always ready for a Buffalo Bandits watch party and continue to be the place for any Bandits game. And this week, PK, let's discuss a bit about their food options as well. While you're at the Bandits watch party, you can get such things as pizza logs, pretzel sticks, loaded nachos, Greek nachos, boneless wings, and plenty of other options. But if those don't interest you, don't forget, you can always bring something of your own. You can bring whatever food you want in and enjoy the rotating taps with whatever your favorite meal might be. To find out what else they have coming up, check out their Facebook page. And to find out what's on tap and what's on deck, check out tapthattaproom.com.
Phil, let's go over the league standings and what we thought they would look like. We did not do very good. We had Vancouver in the first spot. Right now, they're in the 3rd spot, 9-4. Not bad. Not bad. We thought they would be a top team. Number 2, we both had Saskatchewan. They're in the number 1 spot. Looking pretty good so far. The number 1 and number 2 spots right now with some games to go in the regular season. Not looking too bad. Number 3, we had Buffalo. It looks better than it did a couple weeks ago, but they're sitting down in 7th at 6-6.
Not good. Not good.
Now is where we differ a bit. I had Oshawa in my number 4 spot, and they are down in 13th. So that is one of my biggest misses this season by far, is I had Oshawa hosting a playoff game, and they're not even going to make the playoffs. That was my biggest miss. Number 5, I had Rochester. Right now, they're sitting outside of the playoffs at 5-6. Ottawa was my number 6 spot. They're up in 5th spot right now, so that one's pretty close. I got that one pretty close. Toronto was my 7th seed. They're right now in the 6th seed. That one's looking pretty good as well. Halifax. This one's not looking as good. I know they got a big win this last week, which we'll go over, but they're in the 10th spot right now. That was my top 8. Phil, do you want to go over your 4 through 8?
Not really. I had Rochester looking outside Halifax. I am the fifth seed. Thought they were going to finally put it together. They also are a team just like Rochester that can't seem to put it together. Oshawa in sixth. That looks horrendous. Ottawa in seven. Like you said, they're fifth, so not terrible. And Toronto in eighth. They are sixth. If they would have lost, it would have looked a little better.
Yeah, so I think both of us, Oshawa was our biggest miss, and then Halifax is mixed in there as well. Um, there's still some season to go, so they'll be able to finagle a little bit more. But, I mean, clearly Oshawa is by far our biggest miss. In the number 9 spot, we both had San Diego. Currently, they're in the 8th spot, but they get Saskatchewan coming up. Their schedule is pretty brutal the rest of the season. So, again, we don't base it off exactly where they finish in the standings, just if they make it versus miss it, and then if they get the perfect seeding like we had. It's just a cherry on top. This one is my biggest, where I guess they would miss the playoffs and they're going to make it, is Colorado. I had them in my 10th spot. They're currently in the 2nd seed. Like that's by far my biggest miss. I know there's another one coming up. I'll just include it right now. Georgia. I had them in my 12th spot. Right now they're in my 4th spot. So Colorado and Georgia, I didn't think either one of them would be this good this season. I don't think a lot of people did. Maybe Colorado more than Georgia, but I feel like a lot of people had Georgia down in the bottom of the standings. Not because I didn't like what they did in the offseason, just that I thought it was more of a transitioning type of season than, hey, watch Brett Dobson go absolutely nuclear and have one of the best seasons of all time in the NLL. He's carrying them by far. I know the rest of the defense and transition game and the offense is pretty good, but I mean, if it wasn't for Dobson, I don't think they would be sitting 8-4 in the 4th seed right now. But Colorado and Georgia are my biggest misses, missing the playoffs.
Yeah, I got San Diego 9, like you said, pretty close there. And then I had Georgia and Colorado as 10 and 11, outside of playoffs for sure. And I definitely don't think I believed either would make playoffs, so I will consider them as my biggest misses as well. And that's my 9, 10, 11.
Yeah. We also had Vegas. I had them in my 11th seed. I had Calgary in my 13th and Philly in my 14th. Those ones I feel pretty confident they're not going to make the playoffs. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. So overall, considering the season that the NLL is having right now, I don't think we're doing too bad considering, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the 8 right now are in a playoff spot that I thought they would be in a playoff spot. And then San Diego, Colorado, and Georgia are the 3 misses so far. So not terrible. Oshawa, Colorado, and Georgia are definitely my biggest misses overall this season.
Yeah, at least if the San Diego, Georgia, and Colorado all make it, they were my 9, 10, 11. So yeah, just outside playoffs.
Better than me.
Not brutal. Yeah, my 12, 13, 14 were Vegas, Calgary, and Philly. You and I are crushing the Philly pick.
Yep.
They're in. We both had 14th. They're in 14th. Take that, Philly.
Yeah, and we both had Calgary in the 13th. They're in the 12th right now.
They're close.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Thanks a lot. Oshawa was really screwing us. So
yeah, Oshawa. Whew, doggy. 3 and 10, man. I know they just will go under. They won, but they beat Philly. Oh,
which is arguably not what you wanted to do.
By 1.
Should have lost.
Whew. Okay, we'll go over our Bandits Bowl predictions now. How are they looking? Not great.
Can't be good. Can't be
for
good.
me. I'll go over my first. I had Dean Smith will break his single season assist record for the 5th straight season. If you're comparing him to normal NLL players, he's having a good season with 54 assists. He's third behind Ball, who has 61, Teat, who has 55, and they both have played one more game than him. He's on pace for 81. That's a good season, but it's going to be his lowest since pre-COVID. Like that's 21 assists fewer than last year's number. So when you put it like that, it's like, dude, he's having a horrible season. But when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, it's like he's just having a regular awesome season. It's just the assist numbers aren't what they were last year because he doesn't have Frazier and Kluch, and I should have played bigger factor, and that will continue as we go through these bold predictions.
Yeah, my second one, or my first one, sorry, the second one, which would have helped PK with his assist records, is Te'o Nanticoke will set career high in points with over 60. He currently has 29, on pace for 43.5. Not gonna make it unless he goes nuclear himself. I don't see it happening. He is not really changed his role, and it's starting to very slowly work its way out as the whole team is. We'll see if they can continue that this upcoming week, but his role just hasn't changed like we thought it would. I thought he was going to take over a Fraser role. I thought he was going to just be relied on more to score a lot more, and he's still just the lane setter on that right side. He's, getting in the lanes, causing picks, doing all the dirty work, which is great for the team, but I expected him to be a little bit more offensive than he is, and he really just hasn't upped his offensive pace or game all that much this season like we expected.
My next one is looking god-awful. I had the Bandits will have 3 40-goal scorers. Currently, they don't have a single player projected for over 40. Smith has 25, projected for 37.5. Bucky has 21, 31.5. Byrne has 20, projected for 30. McKay has 19, projected for 31.09. And Nanacook has 16, projected for 24. I struck out so bad on this one. Yeah, it's going to be bad. This year, they're bold for a reason, guys. That's all I'll say. I'm not excusing that I'm doing poorly, but they're bold for a reason. Like, if they were just like, Bandits will have 3 guys over 30, that's not very bold. We went bold for a reason. It's just, they're horrible right now. Like, mine are horrible.
Speaking of one that's not horrible, he's not quite doing it, but Cam Wires will have 15 points and lead the team and cause turnovers. The 15 points I threw on there as kind of a bonus because the cause turnovers didn't seem like it was a good enough thing to have on its own. So tried to make it spicier. I think the spicy aspect of it is going to kill me, but he does have 14 cause turnovers, which is second on the team. Weiss leads with 15. Priolo has 11. Desnu has 8 in 8 games. So half of that bold prediction looks pretty good. The other half, he's on pace for 7.5 points, so not very good. But he could, I don't know, randomly get in the transition game and put it together. He did have an incredible diving goal, I believe, this year, so that should count as 10 points right there.
My last one, I can't. It's kind of like last year where I had John Gertler as Media Person of the Year. I have Scott Loeffler winning Executive of the Year. I can't really judge based on where he is in that race. I still think that he should win it. I think he will win it. Buffalo's never had an executive win it. Off the top of my head, they might have years and years and years ago, but just look at what he has done for lacrosse in the area. He just went into Western New York Lacrosse Hall of Fame this season. Why not double it up and give him more hardware? I know when we put this out, he appreciated it, but his hardware, he said, was the last 3 seasons winning the championships. But, another, maybe like a paperweight on his desk would also help if that's what he wants to use it for. But I mean, just look at the standings for the Buffalo Bandits. Just look at everything that's done in the community for lacrosse, how much he's doing in the NLL. I think he deserves it. So again, I can't really judge where he is based on this, but I mean, we did it for John Gertler. Let's see if we can do it for Scott Loeffler this year.
I think Philly is your best bold prediction, but that might be a close number 2.
I'm trying.
Close number 2.
Well, there's not a number 2 otherwise.
Well, yeah, it makes it easy.
Nothing else is looking good.
My final one, which looks fantastic so far, is the Bandits will lead the league in power play percentage. This one's kind of weird because the team's overall offensive production is down, but their power play is through the roof. They're at 62.5%, and that is easily in first. Saskatchewan is in second with 53.3, 10 points behind them. I know Buffalo is making the most of their opportunities. I don't know where they rank in the league. I'd have to go back and look, but they haven't had a ton of opportunities, but when they do get the opportunities, they've been capitalizing, and to be 10 points above the second place team is really, really good. Their power play has been lethal this season so far. Their offense, not as much. Power play looks amazing. So I'll take that.
Yeah, where was this power play last year, man, when it was even more talented? Makes no sense.
Doesn't make sense. Too much talent, I think, was the problem.
Maybe. It's like, you score. No, you score. No, you score. Nobody scores. Week 15, NLL, 5 games on board, and man, did our NLL picks look putrid. You and the people went 1 for 4. I went 2 for 3 at least, so I gained 1 more game on you. But me and the people are tied now. We're both 3 games back of Phil, but all 14 teams are in action in week 16 right off the trade deadline. Friday, the standalone game at 10 p.m. Toronto pretty much just had their way with Vancouver pretty much the entire game. They win 13-10. They outshot them. It was 14-14 in faceoffs. And Phil, no penalties were called the entire game. Power play was over on both sides. Toronto will add 6-2 after 1, 10-3 at half, and 13-7 after 3. Yes, Vancouver scored all the goals in the fourth, but it didn't really matter. Kirst went off for 5. English 1, 2, and 3. Again, this was a game led by the rookies, and Rogers chipped in 5 points himself, but this was the talking point of Nick Rose and his return. For everybody that said Holochuk's net, I know they were winning under Holochuk, but you cannot replace what Nick Rose does to the offense or the team in general. Holding Vancouver to 10 goals is very impressive. And I mean, you even look at Vancouver's. I mean, Dixon went 1 for 7 shooting, King 2 for 7 shooting, Ball 1 for 13 shooting, and this was not a big game for Christian Del Bianco. Overall, I thought he struggled early on in the game, and it didn't really bounce back at all. This was a massive game for Toronto and a statement game for them, bouncing back after a Buffalo loss.
And one that, yeah, like you just said, did not help Buffalo.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vancouver. This is kind of a fun, like an interesting game. Like if you told me that Toronto only scored 3 times in the second half, I would have been like, oh, okay, they lost.
Buffalo
Vancouver
is losing 5-4.
I did see that. I was trying not to make any emotions this time.
You didn't. I didn't catch it.
I know. But yeah, Toronto only scored 3 in the second half, or even if you said Vancouver outscored Toronto 7-3 in the second half, I would have been like, okay, Vancouver crushed them, had an easy victory, but Toronto started fast, did a really good job, and I think it's, like you said, it's a massive win for Toronto. I thought they looked not very good against Buffalo, and Buffalo's been, I know it was a do-or-die weekend for them, but Toronto just I didn't really fear them all that much after that Buffalo game, but I think this puts them right back on the map, especially with Rose in net.
We'll move on. Saturday's first game, Halifax takes it and keeps their season quote-unquote alive, even though I do not think it is. 13-11, they outshot them 26-2 in the faceoff dot. Vegas had 4 of 6 on the power play. Halifax was 2 for 3. It was 1-1 after 1, 6-5 Vegas at half, and 8-3 Halifax after 3. But Halifax took the lead and kept it in the fourth. Halifax, 1-4-5 from Knox, 1-1-2 from McLeod. They were getting depth scoring, and they did this all without Randy Stats in the lineup. I thought this was Hill's great performance. Las Vegas, you cannot blame the goaltender. Kells made 43 of 56 saves. It's just, I don't think enough is being made out of what happened to Vegas once Chase Frazier got hurt and isn't in this lineup. And I know Sean Wesley's not in this lineup as well, but not having a guy like Chase Frazier in this lineup has hurt them drastically. And I know his time frame's still up in the air. He's trying to get back before the playoffs, but I don't know how Vegas makes the playoffs without adding another piece of that right side. I do not think Kevin Crowley is it. I think they need to go big fish shopping for a righty there if they want to save this season, because if they do not, and with all the investment that they made in this team, I don't know how you bring Sean Williams back as head coach and GM. It's kind of like Glenn Clark in Oshawa. It's kind of like, I'm blanking on the person's name that I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but I don't think he can be in both roles based on what they have done in their 4 years with him at the helm of both positions. He needs to either pick one or the other, or he exits from both. But if they do not turn this ship around really, really quick, and it's going to be tough because they don't have a ton of tiebreakers, his job could be in massive jeopardy.
Yeah, I had this game on in the background. I was watching especially the second half, and I really wanted Halifax to lose. I wanted Vegas to push them down, open up more trade potential, and Halifax won. I didn't love watching that, but I thought Kells honestly played pretty well. He made a lot of big saves, so like you said, you can't blame him, even though Halifax put up 13, and I agree with you. I thought the Vegas offense looked real rough. Even though they were able to put up 53 shots, I don't think they looked great, especially in the second half that I saw when they needed to come back. It didn't look like they had very settled, great offensive possessions. It looked like they were kind of disjointed, just kind of throwing things at the net, hoping something stuck. A few times it did, a few times in transition, but it didn't look like they had a well-balanced, solid attack for what they are bringing to the table with who's on that team.
We'll move on. The second game on Saturday, Ottawa takes down Colorado. Again, another game that Buffalo needed. They didn't get it. Ottawa wins 10-5. Ottawa way outshot them 51-38. The Colorado Mammoth 15-4 in the faceoff dot. Both teams 3 for 6 on the power play. Colorado led a lot of this game, 2-1 after one. It was 4-3 at half and 5-5 after three. Colorado got no goals the final 26-15 of this game. Jeff Teat is a wonder in the fourth quarter, going 4-3-7 on 15 shots. He got help with Hellier getting 5, O'Connor 1-1-2. Ottawa wins a game where they do not have to score a ton of goals because the defense and Zach Higgins shut it down. But Malcolm 0-0-0 across the board. Saris 0-0-3. I mean, Colorado scores 5 goals and Q had 4 of them. That pretty much sums up what this game was about. Ward played really well. It's just they didn't get the scoring, which is shocking because Colorado is one of the best scoring teams in the league.
Yeah, Q, I don't think he's ever going to be stopped. He is just a man on a mission.
Hey, Georgia, suck it.
Like you said, Colorado puts up 5 goals. You're like, oh, Q probably didn't have a great game. He puts up 4 goals, 1 assist, and has a hand in every single goal that they had. It's insane. Again, not the talking point really of this game, but Q is just a monster. Since he's come back from injury, even before that, he's just been unstoppable so far. It's pretty impressive. Like you said, though, the rest of the offense didn't give him any help at all, and Ottawa did just enough to take the win. Their offense still doesn't scare me all that much, even with T putting up 4 goals, 7 points. They only got 10, and I know Ward and Colorado's defense is really good, so it's not an easy game to even get 10 goals, so that is impressive in its own right, but I feel like Ottawa still needs to put together a better offensive performance, but their defense, like you said, and Higgins coming up big in that game, I think this was a game, and there were a few this week that I was like, okay, if Ottawa wins this, I think it puts them back on the map and puts them as like a true contender, that they can beat a team as good as Colorado and as hot as Colorado's been. Not as of late as much, but in general, they've been a really good team all season. So for Ottawa to come up with a big win like this at Colorado, I think is a really big statement win for them moving forward.
2 games on Sunday, 2 games that we needed. Well, not needed, but Buffalo got help in. Calgary beats Rochester 14-7. This one was not even close. I saw that one. Is it really 6-4 now, Phil? God, unbelievable.
Well, all that positive talk. They're not making playoffs.
This is the story of the Sabres. The high of the high from when we started this to the low of the low right now. It's not a game breaker.
It was 4-1. Now it's 6-4.
Yeah. Maybe we should end this podcast right now. Rochester outshot them by 1. Calgary dominated the faceoff dot. Calgary 1 for 3 on the power play. Rochester for 2 for 3. It was 5-1 after 1, 9-3 at half, and 11-6 after 3. They just purely dominated this game over and over and over. Rochester had nothing to counteract this, and if it wasn't for the Saskatchewan overtime victory last week, who knows? Rochester would be on a 5-game losing streak,
Yes,
something along those lines. I don't understand what happened to this offense. Hartley has not been very good in net. The defense has not been good enough. This is another team where you have to start questioning, okay, is Mike Hazen the right guy behind the bench? Because it feels like the talent is there. It just doesn't seem like they're executing the plans very well. But Maya, 3-2-5, Cook 5-3-8. Like, I know Calgary right now is sitting 3-9, but you have to be looking at this team and being so excited for what the future looks like. Because even Aiden Walsh, a 50 save night. Like, right. I think Calgary's future is very bright if they add a few more pieces to, add to what they already have in-house, because I don't think Tyler Pace is going to be there very long-term if he's there past the deadline on Monday. But there's a lot of useful pieces on this back end that are very attractive and a lot of teams would want, but Calgary has them.
Yeah, Rochester started 4-1, and now they've been 1-5 in their last 6 games. Like you said, an overtime victory on a back-to-back night for the Rush is the only thing saving them
6-5. Carrick scored.
Hex, yeah. From a six-game losing streak. Like, they look like a shell of themselves. They started so well. They beat Buffalo pretty early on, and they looked like a really good team. They looked like one of the better teams in the league, and now they've just completely fallen flat. I don't know, and same thing we talked about last year. Like, I don't know what is going on with Rochester. They're so hot and cold. Like, every year it seems like they either have a huge win streak or a huge losing streak, nothing in between. Like, they cannot consistently play a season. I don't know. It's very strange. I thought they would just, again, be better, and they still have time to turn it around. Not much. They need to turn it around quick, but to me, this is the equivalent of Buffalo losing to Philly. is this kind of game. Like Rochester, with how they're playing, with where their record's at, this is a game you can't drop at home, and that's exactly what they did. It reminds me too much of Buffalo versus Philly, also at home.
So the final game of the weekend didn't have a ton of implications for the Buffalo Bandits, but it would be nice if Oshawa did win, and they did. 13-12, 57-49 in shots for Oshawa, 16-13 for Philly. In face-offs, Oshawa 2 for 2 on the power play, Philly 1 for 2. I'll give Philly credit. They fought back in this one because they were down 5-0 after 1. It was 7-7 at half, 9-9 after 3, and it was 13-10 with 6:01 to go in the game. Kurtz 4-1-5. Simmons with 7 assists. Theed 2-4-6. What does this deadline look like on Monday, and how many of these pieces for Oshawa are back? Because I think they need to shake this up. And then for Philly, you don't have Eric Fennell, you don't have Michael Sowers, and you put up 12 goals. Like I will give Philly credit. They do not quit. But this was a game where I know on the last episode you mentioned a big move for Nick Damoud. I would be interested to see. Did we see Damoud in the final time ever in a Philly uniform here, going 8 for 13 and just 13 minutes before he gets pulled? And Deacon Knott looked really, really good. I know it was Oshawa. I get that. But, are there teams that are going to be able to pay up for a Nick Damoud? I love the deal that you still mentioned. If you haven't listened, listen back on Fridays. But I like the trade idea that you had. I just don't know if Buffalo is willing to do it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game that maybe drove the price on Damoud down a smidge. Yeah. But Oshawa winning is not only good for them, but it is good for the trade deadline. Hopefully it pushes Philly completely out. Like you said, they've already been sitting players to keep them safe from injury. And
they're the only bottom team that still has their own pick. They have nothing to win for.
Yeah. So congrats on their loss, because that's good for them. In a weird rebuilding kind of way, but we'll see. I think the deadline is really the main point that I want to bring up. So with what you've heard about first being gold, but teams still have UFAs on their team that they're going to want to get rid of for something better than nothing. Do you think the price as a whole across the league is just going to be driven down? So this year, no team's willing to give up a first, and now it all just shifts to second round picks so you can get something for a player that's going to leave in the offseason for nothing. Like, do you think any trades that happen will just be cheaper, or do you think they're really just going to hold on to that player that is essentially useless to them the rest of the season and just kind of say, like, okay, that's too cheap, we're not giving him up for free just so you can be better, and we'll just hold on to him, and if we don't get anything, obviously at that point you're not getting anything, so you're just kind of going to eat the rest of that contract and keep him on your team?
So I got 3 things, and I know we're right at the hour mark, so I'll try to fly through this really quick. 1, I'm tired of people saying that people will not help Buffalo around the league. Look at the offseason for an example. Why did Philly send Desnu to Buffalo? Oh, God, why would you help Buffalo? Like Mike McCannell, why would you do that? Paul Dawson a few years ago, like, quit it with that excuse. It's a poor man's excuse. I hate it. It makes no sense. If it works for both teams, why would the other team purposely not make a move to hurt their own team to hurt Buffalo? It makes zero sense. You want to give us
a first? I don't think so.
And people are like, they definitely don't want them to win a 4-peat. Do they want them to win a 3-peat? Do they want them to win 2? Do they want them to win 1? No. Why is the 4th peat like something pull out of air? I hate that excuse. It's a poor man's excuse. Second one, I believe I heard, I think it was Teddy Jenner said it on this last week of OTCB, saying that teams that are selling ask for the moon. Teams that are trying to buy want it for dirt cheap. Like it needs to come together a bit more. I believe that the bottom teams are going to look at it and go, okay, I'm going to lose this guy for nothing. Right. Like, especially with Philly. Like, I think Philly's the big one. I don't really have a use for this guy. I don't want to purposely lose, but this guy's adding to it that, like, the only team here that's fighting for a first-round pick that has their own is mine. I might as well just move this guy for a second-round pick. I do think that, yes, first-round picks are gold right now, but I feel like if these next few drafts are as good as they are, a lot of the players that are in the top half of the draft are going to be pushing players down that are probably going to be, in prior years, late first round, early second round picks. So second round picks are technically, in prior years, would be a late first. So I think if teams that are selling actually looking at it more that way, I do think you'll see a few more deals getting done for second and third round picks. But if teams are not looking at it that way, I don't think it's going to be a very busy draft trade deadline. I think you're going to see a bunch of guys go out for third, fourth, fifth round picks.
Yeah, I mean, I hope. It would seem that, again, you just don't want to lose someone for absolutely nothing.
Right.
So if the highest offer you get is a second, then I'm taking that second. And I agree with you that if these drafts are as deep as everyone's saying they are, a second round pick is still a great pick, and it's still something that will mean something to your team rather than lose that player for nothing. If it's a third round or a fourth round and you're like, I'm not just going to give him to you for free, I get that. But at the same time, losing him for nothing in the offseason doesn't help your team at all. So maybe you can use that third round pick in the offseason to trade up for a second round pick. Like, losing someone for nothing doesn't seem great, but at the same time, you don't want to establish that you're willing to give someone up for, like you said, dirt cheap. So it'll be an interesting deadline. We'll see. Hopefully Buffalo does something to help that offense, but we'll see. Maybe they called up Yarmo, got some ideas how to improve a team at the deadline, and see what they come up with.
So on our next episode, which again will be out on Thursday, we'll preview Bandits versus Colorado. We'll go over any deals that went down between the Bandits or the rest of the league. We'll go over that as well. Hopefully it's a really busy one. I know there's, I think Loose Mesh is going to have a trade deadline show coming out at 10 a.m. tomorrow, so I'll be trying to tune in for that one. 7-5 apparently, Phil. 7-5. Maybe I won't have to run downstairs and watch the end of this game. We'll go over any other news with the Buffalo Sabres, including this game that's going on right now. And then don't forget, on X, on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you can vote in the People's Picks for the final few weeks. Me and you are tied, and then Phil is leading the pack by 3 games right now. And then you can go on Instagram. It'll be on our story on Tuesday and Wednesday. You can participate in the People's Picks. Everybody's doing really good this year, considering how insane the league is. And then Jamie Shuchuk, his interview will be out on Wednesday. Listen to that one. It's a very fun conversation. I can actually announce that because it's already recorded. But we'll end this episode by thanking everyone for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. Thank you to Tap That Tap Room for sponsoring this episode and this podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Visit our website at buffalosportscollective.com. Follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure you leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. We'll go over any deals that go down from Monday on the next episode. We'll talk to you all on Thursday. Bye-bye.